I wanted to talk a bit about the GATE program and like define it and say why it's important. So the GATE program stands for like the Talented and Gifted Education Program, or Gifted and Talented Education Program, depending on what your school called it. If you look back into the history of it, the government wanted to find a way to recruit talented individuals, and so they started putting money towards the education system and kind of how they could find people who had just higher knowledge or more creativity, things like that. They were looking for all kinds of different things. Once they found those people, so they created like all kinds of tests, and they would administer those tests to, like, I don't even know how young they would go. I want to say the tests probably started for us in first or second, third grade. I don't know. I know some years we were at school, and then some years we left, went to a different building. So that's kind of when it starts, when they start looking for you. And then from there, they will teach you certain things that they want you to know. I know that when we went to the other building, they had all kinds of different activities. Like, we would play some computer games that were very strategic. I want to say it had something to do with like war. We would have to like be put in situations where we were in a desert island and we had to think about the things that we would bring and talk about the reasons why. We had one situation that was like, we had to solve some problem and we had to do it without doing anything verbally. So I don't know if they were looking for like telepathy there, or they said it was leadership skills and nonverbal communication. And then they also wanted to they talked about dreams a lot and different mind states, like the theta waves, delta waves, whatever. So that's also kind of interesting that they would be bringing that up to such young kids. They also talked about like memorization techniques, which is actually completely related to programming. I just remembered this. So they would tell you about like how you can set up something within your mind, and like you can walk through like a building and be like, oh, I have to remember this long code. So like, it's for apple, I see the apple right here. It's for bear, and I see a bear dancing in the corner holding the apple. So like, they would talk about that memorization technique, and that's totally a programming technique. So that's kind of interesting that I just remembered that. Basically, the government was funding this program, and it was done all over the country. The 90s and I think the early 2000s. I don't know if it's still going, but I know my mom has talked about that she was in something similar too, so I think it was still going, or it was going in like the 70s and 80s as well. It probably has different names and different iterations throughout the years. So that is why it's important. So I guess I personally believe that they admitted, you can fully see by tracking the money, they were seeking out individuals that they wanted to push in a certain direction, be in the ranks in government, in different areas of government. We also know that the CIA and different government operations were seeking people who had the ability to do remote viewing. They wanted to use that against like Russia and different countries and see what they were doing in their plans. So I personally think that they were seeking out, probably some average people that were just high intelligence and hard workers, but I also think that they were looking for people who had above average psychic. And I personally think that my family bloodline in some way has, some of that. We have all had like a lot of really weird dream things. Since I've tried to tap into the spirit world a little bit, I've had a pretty easy ability to see into that. So I guess I find that very interesting, and just thought that I would share a little bit of why that is important and interesting.